Welcome back to Quinte Connection, where, as you heard at the top of the show, Richard Hughes mentioning the Belleville Festival of Lights, and joining us from that committee, the chair, Annis Ross and Heather Henderson. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon. And Annis, 1958, could you take us back to that day?
I can, and thank you very much for this wonderful opportunity to share this remarkable story. And as you mentioned, it all started in 1958 with the tragic deaths in an automobile accident on Christmas Eve. And two local young men were killed that evening, Sonny Culloden and Billy Foster. And this remarkable story is a testament to true family love and the spirit of Christmas. It was born of sadness, nurtured and loving memory of the boys. This year marks the 60th anniversary of the inception of the display. In 1959, Don and Rita Foster, the parents of Billy Foster, who was their only son, decided to turn their grief into something joyous and celebrate with the community the hope of Christmas. So Don, lovingly, in his backyard workshop, started building little components for Christmas and put them on his front lawn on Emily Street. And in those days, it was extremely unusual to have outside ornaments and lights, not like it is today. And it became such a destination, I guess, for people to come by and take a look at this wonderful display that Don, over the years, with the help of volunteers and family and friends, continued to expand. And over the years, it became something wonderful in this community. And you talk to people in this community and you can hear so many wonderful stories about generations of families who came by the display and have lots of stories to tell about how exciting it was and how special it was in this community. So over time, Don and Rita were no longer able to look after it. So Bruce and Marjorie Nickel offered to assume the stewardship of it. And so the display continued to expand on Marsh Drive in the yard of Bruce and Marjorie Nickel. And as well, it just continued to grow and attract more and more visitors every year, to the point where the Belleville Police Service had to have traffic control because there were so many people that enjoyed this wonderful display. So when Bruce and Marjorie could no longer look after it, the Belleville Professional Firefighters Association stepped up and said, "This is so important in our community, we'll see what we can do with it." So they took quite a few pieces of the display, many of which were starting to come into disrepair, did the best they could with it, and positioned it at Tom Gavey Alamite Park. And some of our listeners may remember their experiences of enjoying the display there. Well, it became to a point where it needed a lot more tender, loving care. And the City of Belleville, under the leadership of then Mayor Neil Ellis and Councillor Garnet Thompson, decided that the City of Belleville would take this over and give it the care it needed and give it a permanent home. So hence the display was born at Jane Forrester Park at Myers Pier. So that started in 2012. And since then, what has happened is the original display has been very lovingly refurbished by thousands of volunteer hours and city staff who have made sure that the original Foster display is kept in good condition. And thanks to the generous sponsorship of the City of Belleville, as well as individual and corporate sponsors, we've continued to expand and add more components over the years, to the point where we now have almost 60 pieces of expanded display, in addition to the original almost 60 pieces of the original Foster display that cover pretty much 4.8 hectares of the Jane Forrester Park. Wow. So it's pretty spectacular.
And how long does the Christmas lighting display go for?
Well, it's the launch is on November the 15th, when the mayor plugs in the big Griswold plug and the whole park lights up. And it'll go until the end of the year, till December the 31st.
Perfect.
Yeah.
And we mentioned a couple of times, though, we've seen two different phrases for this. We've seen the Belleville Festival of Lights display, and we've seen the Belleville Christmas lighting display. What's been the decision between changing the names? Because you mentioned you wanted a festival component more.
Yeah, we just thought it needed a fresh name. I don't know what brought. We had a roundtable discussion on it, and we came up with the Belleville Festival of Lights.
And is there going to be more festival components going forward in the coming years?
Yeah, that's the idea. We wanted to make it a festival environment, so hence the name change. And so we have lots of activities, lots of exciting activities that Heather will share, explaining exactly what we intend to do, beyond the actual light display itself. We have lots of things going on for everyone in the community to come down and enjoy free. So we want to make this a destination, not only for our community, but also for people outside of the community, tourists to come in and really experience this wonderful display that we have.
Yes, Heather, please share what's coming up.
Okay. On the next 5 Friday nights leading up to Christmas, once again we'll have the free chartered bus service going to all the designated spots on the route, picking up people, and it's a free service. Santa and the missus will be down there every Friday night, handing out treats and talking to the children and getting their pictures taken with the kids. Horse-drawn wagon rides. Scotty Lalonde will be there. We've got Hometown All-Stars, Melanie Hilmy, the Wilkinsons, Valdi with 2 eyes and friends, formerly of the band 11 to 1, and we have Robin Scott. And on the Friday night, the final Friday night on December the 20th, fireworks again.
Okay.
And the best part about this is all free. Go to belleville.ca and click on the calendar.
Yeah, and talking about the evolution of this display and the story, the documentary that Richard Hughes mentioned earlier on in the show, would you mind touching on that? That's going to happen?
Sure. We're very excited that this documentary is being produced now by Doug Knudsen from Windswept Productions, and the title is In Thy Dark Streets Shineth, which we think is extremely apt. It indicates that, from the tragedy and the darkness of this loss of these 2 lives, has come this wonderful shining display of hope and the joy of Christmas, and the fact that out of tragedy can come such light and such positivity. So the decision was made basically that this display has such significance in this community in terms of its history and its culture that it was going to be really important to make sure that it's preserved. And there's so many people who were involved with the original display in the 50s and whatnot who are getting older, and we want to make sure that their stories are captured, as well as the experiences and the stories of so many generations, as I mentioned earlier, of people who have enjoyed this display over the last 60 years. So we're proud to say that the City of Belleville, in partnership with the Hastings County Historical Society, is working with Doug Knudsen to produce this documentary. And in that regard, we're inviting people who have any memories right from 1958, 1959, right through to 2018. If they could share those stories, we have a dedicated email address that they can write to, which is lightingdisplaybelleville.ca. And also they can reach Doug Knudsen through his Facebook page as well.
Perfect.
And we'd love to hear the stories. If anyone has memories, has photographs, has memorabilia or whatever, we'd really like to make sure that those stories get captured. And our objective is to produce the documentary in time to submit it for Belleville's DocFest 2020. We're also asking people if they have any information about the location of this trophy here that was donated by Bobby Hull in memory of Billy and Sonny. They were good friends and they all played sports together growing up. And Bobby was really impacted by the deaths of his 2 friends, so he donated this trophy to the most valuable player in the Junior B League. So we've lost track of it. We're trying to see if we can find it somehow, or if people know to whom it may have been awarded over the years. So if anyone has any information, please let us know.
Perfect. All right, it is Belleville's lighting display, and thank you so much for joining us, and thanks to Heather Henderson and Annis Ross as well. We sincerely appreciate your time, and congratulations going forward in many more years to come with this. Hopefully it gets bigger and brighter as well.